overs. Yorkshire 9 without loss. Here's Grace Ballinger.
Yeah, I mean, I think Notts will certainly be happy with this start. They've managed to go for only one boundary in the first 2 overs, and it's no surprise to see the Pakistani overseas Afridi coming back on for a second over after only going for 1 run with 5 dot balls in the first over. That could be very important as he sets up the innings for Notts.
Just quickly, you've got a game coming up very shortly here as part of a double header with the men playing against Lancashire straight after your game. So, you know, I know you've played here before at Trent Bridge, but the excitement of playing in front of a full house must be palpable. Here's Shaheen Afridi. He's going to be bowling to Milan, who's on 6. Worked towards mid-wicket. Alex Hales does the fielding, and they'll come back for a couple of runs. Yeah,
absolutely. Trent Bridge is one of my favourite, if not my favourite ground to play, to be honest. The atmosphere is always good here for both the men's and the women's cricket, and yeah, we're on a decent run, so hopefully we'll be able to get a few in for our game. I think it starts at 11 o'clock on Sunday, before the men, as you say.
Good work, Grace, getting the plug in. Afridi to Milan, who is on 8. Afridi to bowl to him at the back of the hand, and LBW shout here. The umpire has a good old look at that. Our officials this evening, he said not out by the way, are I think it's Tom Longley, looks like Tom Longley, yeah, at this end, and Steve O'Shaughnessy at square leg. Tom Longley, former Derbyshire seamer, O'Shaughnessy an all-rounder, predominantly for Lancashire, but also played for Worcestershire back in the day. 11 without loss. That one just going over the top, maybe? Yeah, just sent it. It might hit him on the thigh pad, I think, and don't think Milan's a particularly small man, is he? He looks pretty tall from here. It's much taller than his batting partner Adam Lyth, let's put it that way. One slip, Carter, there's Afridi in again, once more, just almost out of the back of the hand, and it's worked away onto the leg side out there. Colin Munro doing the fielding, and Yorkshire 12 without loss. Just hitting good lengths here, isn't he, Afridi? I think in T20 cricket, just the margin for error is so small, just a touch too fun, you get pumped over your head, a touch too short, and you're into the Smith-Cooper stand. So he's been very impressive, and it'll be good to see if he can hold this length. Halfway through the 3rd over. Hear the buzz around Trent Bridge. They'll grow into the evening as the atmosphere builds. This one's worked away behind square, and again Yorkshire have picked out the fielder. Just clipped away behind square. There is Jack Brooks, his first involvement, former teammate of course of Adam Lyth. I'm sure he's been itching to get a game here, as we have new listeners joining us all the time. A reminder that Yorkshire won the toss, opted to bat first, and are 12 without loss in the 3rd over. Shaheen Afridi so far has bowled 10 deliveries, only gone for 4 runs. He comes in and bowls, and this one just dropped on the leg side, might even have been off the pad. We'll have a little check with umpire Longley. Yes, he is going to tap his knees. That's the first extra of the evening. 13 without loss. Notts in their traditional colours of gold and green, but they've got this green sash, a diagonal sash, a little bit, I think we've described it as a bit of a cross between a Miss World contestant and the Peruvian football team. Yorkshire in light and dark blue combination. Afridi to conclude this over, and this one's lifted away, but it will only fly down quite a long way in the air, but reaches Samit Patel at 3rd man for a single. More applause, warm applause for Shaheen Afridi, who's very quickly become a firm fan's favourite here. He's bowled 2 overs, none for 5, and after 3 overs Yorkshire Vikings 14 without loss. I think it'll be really interesting to see what Mullaney does here, in the sense that Afridi's gone for only 5 runs, and it's very rare to see a bowler stay on for 3 and bowl all from one end in the power play, but you sense his bowling so well, he's looking dangerous all the time. He could go for a 3rd. Yeah. So here is Jack Brooks. For those of you that make a note of these things, Nottinghamshire supporters, it principally has been given squad number 70. Jack Brooks is the 96th player to represent Notts Outlaws in T20 cricket, of course a competition that began 20 years ago in 2003. Notts still have a survivor from that first season in Samit Patel, who's played more games in this format than anybody else, and he'll be itching to get a bowl and get amongst the wickets after he went without last night at Durham. Long old journey back for the Notts side last night, many of them not getting back to their beds before 2 a.m. this morning. So I would imagine it's been a fairly light practice day. So it is going to be Jack Brooks. He's had considerable success on this ground over the years in the red ball format. And he bowls short, and his first one is pulled away. That's not a moment he'll remember. His first delivery for Notts Outlaws, just pulled away by Milan for a boundary. That was, well, maybe signs of nerves from Jack Brooks, but that was just a step and fetch it, wasn't it? Yeah,
I mean, wasn't his finest of deliveries, Jack Brooks, but we'll put it down to a loosener. Fortunately, can't really get away with those in T20 cricket, but sure he'll back on the money here.
Just starting to accelerate here, Milan. Here's Brooks in to bowl to him, and he'll take an easy single here, dropping it down on the leg side. 19 without loss. My favourite Jack Brooks stat, which I've only become aware of since obviously he signed for Notts this last few days. Between 2011 and 2021, that's 10 years, he played 31 blast games and didn't have to bat once. That's incredible, isn't it? That's like you. I mean, you're not getting many innings down towards the bottom there of the Blaze side, are you? But
no.
That's astonishing. 10 years without having to bat.
That is some stat. Where'd you find that out? Worked it out yourself?
Yeah. Oh yes. Yeah. I've got enough time on my hands to look at sad things like that. Brooks just getting his field right for Adam Live, who he knows very well. He's pushed an offside boundary rider out, but this one's hit by Live up to mid-off, fielded by Alex Hales, and the single is taken, 20 without loss. There were people, for whatever reason, I'm thinking of my good lady here, who chose not to listen to my commentary last night, but to look at the pictures that were available of last night's game at Durham. This morning she advised me that Alex Hales was hobbling quite badly at the end of the game and just didn't pick up on that, as this one's driven crisply through the offside. Munro won't get there. Lovely shot from Dawid Milan. Moves on to 19, 24 without loss. And so I arrived at the ground here today just a little alarmed in case Alex had picked up a knock, but just a little bit of cramp. He batted through the innings for his 65 not out, and as he went to do the television interviews, obviously he was hobbling a little bit, but nothing more than a bit of cramp. Brooks bowls, a couple of boundaries already in this innings, single taken to Dawid Milan. He moves on to 20, 25 without loss. Vikings have got a reasonable start here. Afridi's kept them quiet at one end, but they've taken the runs so far from Carter and Brooks. Yorkshire lost in that opening weekend. A double header was played at Edgbaston. They lost to the Birmingham Bears. Live comes down the track, he's hit it out towards Munro, but 7 or 8 yards to Munro's left and over the rope for 6, which Colin Munro signals, indicates to the umpire. Not yet gone on the board. In fact, I don't think he has signalled it, Steve O'Shaughnessy, and now he does. It's a good, clean, crisp shot, and it was quite a harsh introduction to life as an outlaw for Jack Brooks. 6 and a couple of boundaries in that over.
Yeah, just slightly shifted the momentum of the game there, hasn't it? I mean, as we said, Notts kept the pressure on, and looks like it won't be Afridi having that third over like I would have liked to see, but total change in Vikings now 31 without loss. Thinking of my game yesterday, Dave.
Was it the Vipers you played yesterday?
We did, yeah.
And that was where? At Grace Road?
At Derby, actually, at the Ancora, and I must say they were fab hosts. Really good day there yesterday.
It's going to be Matt Carter to bowl the 5th over. That over from Brooks went for 17. Music just, I think, has been cranked up a notch. It was this place was absolutely bouncing on Friday evening. They're now asking the DJ to turn the music off. There we go. He has managed to do that. It's been a little bit more subdued and low key this evening thus far, as Matt Carter bowls his 2nd over, the 5th of the innings. Notts have had the wood over Yorkshire in recent times. In fact, they've won the last 6 meetings here, as Carter bowls again, single take. Overall meetings, 21 Notts wins, 11 to Yorkshire, but here at Trent Bridge it's 14-4, and as I say, the last 6 meetings have all gone the way of the home side. Next ball is lifted down the ground, and it will just clear Shaheen Shah Afridi, but it didn't zip on and run away to the ropes as four without loss. That's one thing for you to look out for, Shaheen Sharafidi in the field, because he'd make a good javelin thrower. He hurls it an absolute mile. As Carter bowls again, and that's a swish and a miss from Adam Lyth. Good work from Tom Moores, who whipped off a bail.
Good to see Tom Moores recovering from his injuries at broken finger.
Yeah, missed 4 county championship matches with that broken finger, but back now. He's been scoring some useful runs in the middle order for Notts in the first 3 matches. Carter in again, bowls, and once again an almighty mow from Adam Lyth, who just bottom edges it to Jack Brooks at short fine. Lyth 12 from 12. This is an un-Adam Lyth-like start. Milan's gone down to have a word with him, and what's he saying, Grace? Just ease yourself into it. Just help yourself to a single on the leg side, because there's one there anyway.
Just looks slightly restless, doesn't he, Lyth?
Trying to find the city centre. Carter bowls to him, and well, let's just push this back to the bowler. Well bowled, Matt Carter. That is terrific stuff from Matt Carter in that over, just 3 from it. 34 without loss after 5 overs. I think both sides will take something from what we've seen so far. Yorkshire have still got their openers there, both very capable players, capable of taking down any attack, but Notts will be relatively pleased that they've kept them fairly quiet so far. Let's see if that's how this continues over the next 5 overs as Colin Fray picks up commentary.
Thank you, Dave. Yeah, Yorkshire coming back very well over the last couple of overs after a very good start from Notts. Jack Brooks is going to continue though from the pavilion end. And he's in now to bowl to Milan, who's pulled him away for 6. Now behind square leg, deep backward square sort of area. And Milan. Grace is getting going here.
Yeah, it's a pretty bold captaincy choice by Mulaney. Keeping Jack Brooks on, I mean, he's a very experienced player with doubtless talent, but I suppose you want your captain to back your bowlers, and that's what he's done, but will it be a mistake from Stephen Mulaney?
Last over of the power play as Brooks is in again, and this one's played out onto the offside. Backward point, Shaheen Sharafidi does the fielding, and it's just a single, so Milan moves on to 28. Lyth has 12. Yorkshire 41 without loss under cloudy skies at Trent Bridge with the floodlights shining down brightly. Here's Brooks again, and Lyth has skied this. That's gone miles up in the air, and Carter's waiting underneath it, and barely had to move and takes the catch, and Notts have their first wicket. Lyth wanting to get on with it, wanting to try and take on Brooks, and just got top edge on it. That went miles up in the air, and Carter, although he didn't have to move very far, and they're coming down from that height, you have an awful long time to think about it, but he took it well, took it cleanly, and Yorkshire lose their first wicket, 41 for 1.
Absolutely, yeah, harder than they look, those catches, aren't they? He's just in the air for such a long time, and he almost didn't have to move. You can see the relief on his face when he takes the catch, Matt Carter, and gutsy decision by the captain Stephen Mulaney, and it's paid off for him. Jack Brooks with his first wicket for the Outlaws. Adam Lyth has to depart for 12.
Understand why he was playing the shot he was trying to play in the last over of the power play.
Absolutely, yeah, just mistimed it, and on another day it was just a fraction later on it, and it would have gone straight into that Smith Cooper stand. So it's just the way of modern cricket, isn't it, Colin?
It is. And he's gone for 12. Adam Lyth. Will Luxton is the new batsman to join Dawid Malan, who is on 28. And Brooks will continue from the pavilion end. Luxton, 20 years of age, making his Yorkshire debut from Keighley. And he's going to prepare to face his first ball from Jack Brooks. And he has a swing and a miss, and it goes through to Tom Moores.
Yeah, slightly nervous start that from Luxton, just got a little bit caught in the crease there, not a lot of foot movement, but I suppose you would be nervous, age 20, debuting. Pretty decent crowd in here at Trent Bridge.
Yeah, big stage in T20. Far more eyes on you in T20 than in the Championship. Certainly at the ground itself. Here's Brooks, and this is playing quite nicely to cover, and there's no run because the fielding was done very quickly and smartly by Matthew Montgomery. But it's a big moment for anybody making their county debut in whatever format it is. And as Grace was just saying, there is a good crowd in at Trent Bridge, not quite sold out, a few empty white seats as Brooks is in again, and Luxton's got this one high as another steepling catch to take, and Luxton is gone. Running round from mid-wicket, Colin Munro takes the catch. This is another one, just like Carter's a few balls ago, that went miles in the air. And this time Munro had to make up a little bit more ground to get there, but still was planted underneath it to wait for it to come down. And again, safely pouched, and Yorkshire are 2 down. And Luxton goes without scoring on his debut. And this is turning into a good comeback from Jack Brooks.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, he certainly stepped up, and he's bowled terrifically after a difficult over where he's just got his lengths wrong, to be honest with you. And he's turned around this power play here. I reckon after the 5 over mark, it was pretty in the balance with no wickets down for the Vikings. However, 2 wickets here, and it's really pushed it into Nottingham's favour here.
Yeah, very good final over. That, in fact, was the last ball of the over, last ball of the power play. 2 wickets in that over, and they went for just 7 runs off that Jack Brooks over. So the power play ends for Yorkshire on 41 for 2, and the skipper has decided it's time for himself from the Ratcliffe Road end, with Yorkshire 41 for 2.
Handy 3 for yesterday, was it, from Mulaney?
It was, yeah. 3 for 28, I think, from memory. As Mulaney stops his run, and then he's in again to bowl his first ball, and this is just turned away onto the leg side by Milan for a single. Tom Moores has run out all the way out to the square leg umpire to do the fielding. Long old run for the wicket keeper. Joined by Luke Fletcher.
Hello.
Of Nottinghamshire.
Hello,
Good evening.
Fletcher.
How are we all?
All right, how are you?
Best view in the house up here, innit? I love coming up here. Good. Not as good as Jack Brooks by the look of it. He's buzzing, isn't
It's
it?
a fair old over,
Absolutely
wasn't it?
buzzing.
Yeah, that's a comeback.
Proper highlights package that. Runs, wickets. Looks a good pitch.
Always good pitches here, aren't they?
Generally, yeah. Bowler's graveyard. as
Too
they
good
say.
for the batters.
Got to be a good bowler to play here, you know.
Here's Stephen Mulaney, and he's in to bowl to Shan Masood, who's the new batsman. This is turn around towards fine leg, and the fielding is done quickly by Matt Carter. It's a dot ball, and the crowd are into it now after those couple of wickets. You can always tell, can't you, when they're applauding dot balls.
Yeah, they're all in. The atmosphere looks quite good now. I reckon there's a few late comers, but it's filling up now, isn't it?
Here's Mulaney in again, and Masood just backs away from this and plays it up towards long off. Afridi does the fielding, and they go through for a single. So I said, how are you? And you said you're all right.
Yeah.
But
yeah, obviously not. I'm not 100%, but
100%,
I'm on the mend, yeah.
How many percent?
Yeah, at the minute, probably about 14. So I've got a long way to go. Yeah.
That's a long way. Here's Mulaney, and he's into David Milan, who's played this one up to long on this time, all the way along the ground, and fielding's done by Alex Hales.
First time out the house in 5 days. I've just been watching Netflix and Forest highlights of the whole season, so I've heard your voice a lot this week. I love it.
There's been some
Premier League.
There's been some ups, there's been some downs.
Oh, it's been amazing.
It's been a tense old season. Here's Mulaney again with Yorkshire 44 for 2, and this is just dug out by Masood, again up towards long off.
I'm just itching to talk Forest with you, but I know people want to know about the cricket at home, so I'm going to go in a minute, but I'm just dying to speak Forest with you.
We'll have to do that off mic.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Milan on strike on 30, with Masood on 2 at the other end. Yorkshire 45 for 2. It's another quiet over, and this one is just defended back to the bowler. And Grace Ballinger is here as well alongside this. Grace, that's a very good start from Stephen Mullaney as well. Not going well here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the run rate's just died down massively after that big Jack Brooks over. Obviously, he pulled it back himself, taking 2 wickets, and yeah, the run rate below 6.5, you'd say. Not to be very happy with this start, and a good contribution from all the bowlers.
Samit Patel's going to come on from the pavilion end. So a bit gutted to be missing out on all this, Luke, this year.
I hate it. I'm such a bad watcher, especially this format. I mean, the timing of the surge is awful, really. You know, as players, you look forward to this. You know, getting a full crowd at Trent Bridge, and yeah, it's very, very annoying. But you know what? It's part of the trade. Being a fast bowler, these things happen, and you got to get your head on and recover as quick as I can. So it's nice to see the lads doing well there.
Here's Samit Patel then. Left arm over the wicket, and that's played into the block hole. Almost down into the ground by Masood, and then just sort of sits there. Just for a second, it looked like it might dribble back towards the stumps, but it didn't. It's a dot ball though from Samit, and this time Masood is down the pitch a couple of paces, hammers Samit down the ground towards the pavilion, and a couple of bounces away for 4. Yorkshire on to 49 for 2. Masood on to 6. Was it just did you sort of have to make the decision, Luke, to sort of sacrifice the T20 and just
it was
get
the
it
right
done?
thing to do. I mean, I could have hobbled through it, but what I didn't want to do, sorry, Samit's in and it's clipped out by Masood on the leg side, and Montgomery's in with a one-handed pick-up. That is lovely fielding. What a star man this Montgomery is, eh? I'm just doing your job here.
I was going to say, you don't need me, do you? I'm going to have a rest.
Yeah, no, I had to do it. It was what I didn't want is to play and play poorly and let the side down. So yeah, I mean, it was in the end it was an easy decision, and I think the right decision. So
as you say, it is one of those things, isn't it? As a fast bowler, here's Samit Patel, and this is turned off his toes by Malan. Out on the onside, behind square, and they trot through for a single. 51 for 2. Shan Masood back on strike. Patel into him. This is well pitched up and dug out of the block hole. And again, you can
under pressure here, Yorkshire.
Yeah, appreciation from the crowd for knots who've, I was going to say turning the screws, but they've been on really since the opening overs. This though is hoyed over the top by Masood for 6. Closest fielder to it, couldn't get anywhere near it. As this sailed over his head and away for 6. Good end to the over. Just umpire at that far end, Steve O'Shaughnessy, just making sure it was 6.
Yeah, I think that was easily 6.
Yeah, it looks a long way over the rope.
You could tell by the sound, didn't you? The sound of the ball off the bat. He's a good player, Masood. He's quite an orthodox player, but he just hits the ball so cleanly. It's difficult to bowl at. And Malan at the other end, we know a lot about Malan. Obviously played with him at the Trent Rockets, and I think that's the best form he's been in. So this is it's a big partnership for Yorkshire, but I think Notts have got a pretty good hold on this game so far.
57 for 2. Stephen Mullaney into bowl 2. Malan, oh, that's big. That's huge. That is over mid-wicket and away into the Fox Road stand for 6. Malan picking up where Masood left off in the previous over. Deposit it over the opposite boundary, but the same position, if you like, cricketing-wise.
For Yorkshire to post a good total here, these two need to do the bulk of the work. I don't think there's, without any disrespect, you know, there's not too many left as good as these two. These two are going to have to get the biggest partnership for me.
Here's Mullaney in again, and this is played out onto the onside, fielded in the covers by Lyndon James. I think it's the first time we've mentioned him tonight. Just a single, 64 for 2. It's a good point Luke makes, Grace, isn't it? That they not kind of need one of these out, you'd think. Here's Mullaney once again, and this is slapped away by Masood onto the offside. Running around from long off is Shaheen Sharafridi. That's a good piece of fielding.
Yeah, I mean, I think Notts will be relatively happy with where things are at the moment. The run rate's still under 8. It's pretty contained stuff, but as you say, either of these could get away and it could be pretty dangerous, but at the same time they're going to need someone to bat with them, so one wicket could really change things.
65 for 2 as Mullaney is in once again, and Malan sort of waits this one, waits for it to come onto him, plays it off the back foot.
Right, I'm going to leave you all
Some
to it
covers.
because I've got to get back down to my family. But good to see you all.
Thanks for coming up.
Thanks for having me.
Nice to see
And
you,
I'll
Luke.
see you through the comp, I'm sure.
Get well soon. Is Luke Fletcher, not fast bowler, out of action for a good few weeks. 14% fit, he reckons, so there's a fair amount of work to do. Good luck, Luke. Did you say 14 or 40? 14, said, didn't you? How many percent fit you were?
I reckon I've got a long way to go.
A long way to go. Keep going. As Yorkshire on to 67 for 2. Stephen Mullaney has a ball.